Most relationships don't end because of cheating, not even because of explosive arguments. They end quietly, like a slow leak you don't notice, until the whole thing deflates. They die in silence, in the quiet moments of misunderstanding, in the gaps where one person's identity was never truly formed. Psychologist Erik Erikson warned us, you can't build intimacy if you haven't discovered your own identity. And that's exactly why most relationships crumble by the time we hit 30. This isn't just about love. It's about why so many people feel empty, even when they're with someone. Let's talk about it. Chapter 1, The Crisis of Identity. Erikson called it the intimacy versus isolation stage. It hits you right after adolescence, usually in your 20s. But most people, they skip the first stage entirely. The stage before that is called identity versus role confusion. Here's the issue. If you've never answered "Who am I?", if you've never faced your own fears, desires, wounds, if you've never stood alone, truly alone, then you are not ready for love, because love demands truth, and you can't offer truth when you don't even know yours. So what happens? People jump into relationships looking for completion, not connection. They confuse loneliness with compatibility. They seek validation, not love. And in that confusion, they don't fall in love. They fall into projection. Chapter 2, The Mask We Bring into Relationships. Let's be honest. Most of us wear masks. We present the version of ourselves we wish was real, not the version we actually live with in silence. And relationships become a performance. We say the right things. We do the right things. But deep down, we're scared they'll see who we really are and leave. Why? Because we haven't accepted ourselves yet. Erikson believed this lack of identity doesn't just cause relationship failures. It creates emotional isolation. You could be in the same bed and still feel galaxies apart. You laugh together, eat together, live together, but your souls never touch. Because real intimacy doesn't come from proximity. It comes from authenticity. Chapter 3, Trauma Bonds and False Intimacy. When we don't know ourselves, we attract based on wounds, not values. A person who never felt seen as a child will chase anyone who offers attention. A person who learned to keep the peace will fall for someone who needs to be constantly managed. We call it chemistry, but often it's just familiar pain dressed in romance. These are trauma bonds, not connections based on love, but on survival, and they feel intense, powerful, even addictive. But they aren't stable, because no matter how much someone loves you, they can't fix what you refuse to face. Chapter 4, Why Most People Break by Age 30. By 30, something happens. Life starts getting louder. Career pressure, time pressure, marriage pressure, kids, money, loss, and all the identity issues you buried in your 20s, they come back harder. That's why so many relationships that felt perfect in their 20s start falling apart in their early 30s. Not because love disappeared, but because reality demanded growth, and one person was ready and the other wasn't. You'll hear things like, "You've changed. I don't feel the same anymore. I need space." But it's not about change, it's about awakening. And if your partner fell in love with the mask you wore, what happens when you finally take it off? Chapter 5, Loneliness Disguised as Love. Too many relationships start from fear, not love. Fear of being alone, fear of missing out, fear of not being chosen. So what do people do? They rush in, call loneliness chemistry, call validation connection. They want the feeling of being understood without understanding themselves. They skip self-reflection and end up projecting their baggage onto their partner. One doesn't know who they are. The other tries to love someone who doesn't even exist yet. The result? Emotional chaos. Chapter 6, How to Build Real Love. So how do you build a relationship that actually lasts? It starts before you meet someone. 1. Know yourself. Explore your past. Heal your wounds. Ask hard questions. What do I want? What scares me? What do I need? 2. Stop seeking completion. Another person can amplify your life, but they can't fill your emptiness. 3. Choose values over validation. Pick someone who aligns with your truth, not someone who simply makes you feel wanted. 5. Learn to sit in solitude. If you can't be alone, your relationship will be about escape, not love. And most of all, 5. Build a foundation before the house. You can't create a we until you've truly discovered me. Chapter 7. The silent erosion. Relationships rarely explode. They erode, slowly, silently, one misunderstanding at a time. A person who hasn't done the inner work will constantly need reassurance, take everything personally, blame their partner for their own emptiness. And the worst part, they don't even realize they're doing it, because on the surface, everything looks fine. But underneath, they're not showing up fully. They're hiding. They're scared to be seen because they don't know what's even there. That's not love. That's unconscious survival. Chapter 8. Emotional maturity is rare. Let's be honest. Most people are emotionally underdeveloped. They know how to text, how to flirt, how to curate an aesthetic on social media, but they don't know how to apologize without excuses, how to sit with discomfort, how to say I need help without shame. Because that takes identity, maturity, self-honesty. And without those, love becomes a performance, not a bond. That's why relationships fall apart by age 30, because too many people skip the hard work of becoming someone. Chapter 9. The false we. When someone hasn't developed their identity, they try to merge with their partner. They lose themselves. You hear it all the time. We do everything together. We don't fight because we're the same. We never need space. But sameness isn't intimacy, it's fusion. And fusion always leads to collapse. True intimacy happens when two whole people choose to share themselves, not when two halves cling to each other for survival. That's why Erikson said, "He who fails to form an identity fails to form intimacy." Chapter 10. Fixing the foundation. So what can you do? If you're in your 20s or 30s and struggling in love, don't ask, why can't I find the right person? Ask, have I become the right person? This means spending time alone, not to isolate, but to integrate. Journaling your triggers, not just blaming others. Defining your values so you stop compromising them for love, because love is a mirror, and it will reflect whatever you bring to it, even the parts of you that are unhealed. Before you build a relationship, build a self. Relationships don't fail because people are bad. They fail because people are unfinished. Erikson warned us, you cannot form intimacy until you've formed an identity. Yet most people try to skip the process. They dive into love hoping to find themselves, and end up losing both the relationship and their sense of self. So if your relationships keep falling apart, if you keep attracting the same patterns, stop blaming love. Ask yourself the harder question, have I truly met myself yet? Because until you do, every love will feel like a rescue mission. And real love, it doesn't rescue, it recognizes. If this message resonated with your spirit, consider sharing it. Someone out there might be carrying the same questions, the same doubts, the same quiet hope, and your sharing might be the reminder they need. Stay true, stay kind, stay you. For more insights on philosophy, personal growth, and the art of clear thinking, subscribe and turn on notifications. Flow through life and embrace the journey of thought with curiosity and insight. Seek truth, seek wisdom, and remember to question everything. Until next time, stay curious.